So essentially it's a fake it till you make it kind of day. I'm craving action, just any kind of action. I just want to go outside. I don't want to pay. Already I'm just like only vaguely interested in it. Good morning. Your girl still has the Rona, which I feel like you can see in my face. But I did wake up this morning for the first time since Thursday without a sore throat. So I feel like we're on an upward trajectory and I am cracking on with work now. Starting off this Monday quite easily with just getting some editing done because I've spent a weekend being sick in bed. I really wanted to get ready for the day today. Like, I'm fully dressed. I'm even wearing jeans. I really just wanted to feel like a human this morning. So essentially it's a fake it till you make it kind of day. The mini round of the Magical Readathon starts today, which I will link G's announcement in the description box if you would like some more information, because it's quite a complicated readathon. But it's essentially like a Magic School RPG kind of readathon, and there are monthly rounds which are the main rounds, and then little mini rounds like this one where you like do little added things. So this mini round is about picking your magical conduit and also choosing the skills that you would like to develop in your guild. So I am an urban Iltarian from Carador and my guild is the Mindwalkers, and I'm just going to reference the prompts like very vaguely in this vlog because like I said, it's quite complicated. If you need context and stuff, definitely go check out G's video because she has like documents and stuff on everything. But aside from the Magical Readathon, I'm also going to be doing the next installment of my Unhaul Project. If you're new here, the Unhaul Project is where I just dedicate a week every so often to reading through some books that I'm either unsure whether I'm going to love, are outside of my comfort zone, or are the types of books that I don't normally keep. So it's just about making a conscious effort to actually read some of those books so that they're exiting my house if I am going to unhaul them. So we have varying reasons for things being in the Unhaul Project, whether it's something that I haven't heard great reviews about and it's not sounding particularly appealing to me, or whether it's a thriller, which by nature when I've read them I tend to unhaul them, so they go in here as well. I will link the playlist if you want to check it out and get some more information on that. But the first book that I'm going to be picking up this week for the Magical Readathon, it will be my Conduit book. I'm going for the Dagger, which is the Conduit exclusive to the Mindwalkers, and the prompt for that is to read a standalone, and for that I am going to be going with a thriller. I think it's more of a mystery, which is Big Little Lies by Liam Moriarty. I picked this up at a charity shop ages ago, probably because it's a show, and if I watch something I do try and make a conscious effort to read the book first. So this one is set in the suburbs. I think it's set in Australia because Liam Moriarty, I believe, is an Australian author. I think there's a murder, maybe. I really don't know much about this, but there was a surprising amount of interest when I mentioned this in my TBR. Like, a lot of people are really excited for me to read this one, and I have been told that I might like the twist, which has me even more intrigued. So I haven't started this yet, but I will be doing that a little bit later on today. And honestly, I'm still hung up on the Hating Game, which I binged in its entirety yesterday and then watched the movie straight afterwards. So I'm just hoping that I'm not in a book hangover right now or about to head into one. And I do, like, part of me still wants to continue to binge romance, but then the other part of me is like, no, if you need this out of your system, you have to read something completely opposite. So we're going with a mystery to start us off. So we've come to the end of my work day and my brain is fucking soup. I've had some terrible news today. My first ever fragrance oil supplier has gone out of business and I'm devastated. So I've just been trying, because they put everything on like a super good sale, so I've gone through every candle I make where I get the fragrance from them and ordered like as much as I can just so I have it in stock, even though they said they'll disclose all of their suppliers for their fragrance oils after they've shown, which is at the end of this month. But I couldn't remember what fragrances I put in which candles, bearing in mind that I rely on my memory for all of my fragrances. I don't have them written down everywhere. I know the fragrance oil for every single candle that I use, and I just could not. I was just staring at them like, I have no fucking clue. I don't know. So I think I've overdone it a bit mentally, and it's getting really frustrating because I just want to do things. I'm craving action, just any kind of action. I don't want to go back to bed again. I'm sick of it. I spent 2 days in there, 2.5. I just, no. I still need to recover from another lover. Would you be here for me? Never met your parents, not even your mother, but let's see where this leads. What should we do tonight? What if this breaks your little heart in mine? What should we do tonight? I have an Amazon parcel. It is addressed to Rebecca Blackford. which means that this is from Vish. Joshua Templeman is living in my head rent free. I can't stop obsessing over the Hating Game right now. I opened my laptop to work this morning and the Hating Game was still open from when I watched it for the first time on Sunday night. So I just rewatched parts of it, and I did watch the entire thing again with Curtis last night. I cannot stop. So I posted on my Instagram story how obsessed I was with the Hating Game when I finished the book on Sunday, and Vish from Books with V, who I adore, replied and was like, oh my god, it's like my favorite romance ever. That and another book which I think you should read. I'm trying not to read romance right now. I'm feeling very slumpy. I've read maybe 20 pages of Big Little Lies. Just have no desire to read right now. But Vish was like, I'm gonna send you my other favorite romance and I hope you enjoy it. And that's the reason why my name on this parcel is Rebecca Blackford. So thank you so much, Vish, for sending this to me. I'm really excited to read it. I could read it right now, but I'm just trying not to read romance. Oh my god, it's thicker than I expected it to be. That's what she said. But it is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I've seen this around. I think it's like a big TikTok romance, and I've assumed that people love it because of that, even though the general consensus is that Book Talk doesn't always have the best recs. But then I went on to Goodreads and all of the reviews that I saw, like the top reviews are like 1 and 2 stars. So I'm a little bit nervous now, but apparently the guy in here has real big dick energy and he's called Aaron Blackford. So I think that this is about a girl who has to go to her sister's wedding and she's told her family that she has this like gorgeous American boyfriend. However, it's a complete lie. So her sister's wedding is rapidly approaching and she desperately needs to find someone to go with her as her +1 and fulfill the role of this imaginary American boyfriend, and she ends up taking this guy that she absolutely hates with her because nobody else will go, and I'm assuming it's a romance between the two. I mean, it sounds good. I did, when I was like scrolling through reviews a little bit last night, I did see that apparently it's like a rip-off of the Hating Game, which to be fair, I just threw it on the floor. To be fair, with the mood I'm in right now, that might just do it for me, but I'm not reading this yet. I got other shit I need to read. If I ever get around to it, I need to make a conscious effort to read a big chunk of Big Little Lies today, but thank you so much, Vish, for sending this my way. Because of the mood I'm in right now, I absolutely want to do another like romance binge sometime soon, but it's gonna have to wait. Because Vish recommended me this as well, I'm more likely to trust Vish than the Goodreads reviews, because me and Vish have like eerily similar tastes in everything. We're almost the same person. So if you like my reading taste, go check out Vish. I will link her channel in my description box because it's actually quite creepy how similar we are with our taste in fantasy, romance, fictional men, and all of that kind of stuff.
Pretty blue jeans and me running through evergreen. Pretty blue jeans and me. Yeah, she's what I need. I still need to recover from another lover. You're my picture perfectly. Still haven't met your parents, but we hang with your brother when he could use the company. What shall we do tonight? What if this breaks your little heart in mine? What shall we do tonight? Let's just find out. Pretty blue jeans and me running through evergreen, running through evergreen. Pretty blue jeans and me. Yeah, she's
We have something to report. I've made it past the halfway point in Big Little Lies. I'm on page 256. I think I'm finally climbing out of my book hangover. I'm feeling generally really good. The last 2 days were not good. Wednesday and Thursday were not good for me. I think it's just like the after effects of COVID, but I've spent the last 2 evenings just like bored / depressed. So like I don't want to do anything. Like I don't want to read, I don't want to play PlayStation, I don't want to watch films, I don't want to watch TV, I don't want to talk to my friends. As soon as I clock off at 5 p.m, that's it, I'm done. Literally do not want to do anything apart from lie down and stare at a wall. But hopefully I'm coming out of that a little bit now. I'm currently doing some early morning Patreon sprints because I was supposed to have 2 days off this week. I had plans, but I had to cancel them because COVID. So it's come to Friday and I've pretty much done everything that I had to do this week, and I'm just doing a little bit of admin now and getting ahead on a couple of things. So I decided I was going to throw some sprints together this morning while I worked, and then a little bit later on I might make some more progress in this. I would love to finish it today, but I still have just over, like, I've got 205 pages left, so I'm not sure whether that's on the cards for me. So I don't really know how to tell you what this is about, but it is an adult mystery, and we're predominantly following these 3 women who live in, well, 2 of them live in the suburbs of this town in Australia. They're all a little bit different, but the one thing that they have in common is that all of their children are about to start school. They're all joining at kindergarten level, and we have Celeste, who's really rich. She married this really rich guy. She's got twin boys. We have Madeline, who has a older daughter with another man and has remarried and has 2 kids with him, and she's like really kind of like preppy. She's a little bit of a busybody, but she's kind of nice with it, I guess. And then we also have Jane, who's a single mother who's just moved to the area with her son Ziggy, and these women all become friends. Now this is told, I'm assuming it's going to be in 2 timelines. So in the prologue it is a parents trivia night, and all of the parents start fighting and somebody has turned up dead. After that we go to the 6 months that lead up to this trivia night, and I'm assuming, I'm not at it yet, but I assume we then follow the events after the trivia night and after whoever it is has turned up dead, because it doesn't tell you who's dead. I'm assuming I'm going to find out when I get to the trivia night portion of this book. This is an interesting one because, like, I'm not overly interested in it. I will say it's a pretty easy read. It's moderately compelling. It withholds information from you. Like, all of the 3 women that we're following have their individual things going on, and I'm assuming that they're going to be central in the murder of whoever it is who's turned up dead, but I don't really have any idea. Like, there's things that are leading to things, so I'm like, oh well, maybe this person is responsible, maybe whoever's dead is because of this, maybe this person did it because of this, but I don't, without any answers, I don't feel like I can really make any predictions, especially when I don't even know who the victim is at this point. So I'm not like overly interested in it, because realistically, what do I have in common with 3 women who live in the suburbs of Australia and have children, and the majority of them like build their lives around being mothers and looking after their family, and they're like your stereotypical, like, most of them middle class suburban mothers. But I'm not enjoying it, and I think because I'm in a little bit of a book hangover, it doesn't really matter to me what I'm reading right now, because I'm not really in the mood to read as long as I'm reading. So I'm just going along with it. It's all right at the minute. I don't really have many opinions. I will say though, the one thing that I'm hoping for with this is that the payoff is going to be worth it, because it isn't overly interesting, and also with the way that the information is being withheld, it can be a little bit frustrating, because I'm like, come on, just tell me like what you're alluding to, stop skirting around it and then coming back to it like 20-30 pages later. Good morning. I finally finished a book. I know, it's a miracle. I have been so slow this week, but we got there eventually. I give this one 3 stars. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It's just not overly interesting to me, with the subject matter and the main characters being like all of these suburban mothers. I guess the main part of the mystery, and I also had a good idea about the other part of it, and with this being more mystery than a thriller, I feel like the majority of it does hang on not really knowing what's going on, and like the reveal at the end being worth the rest of the book. I will say though that I did enjoy following the characters. I think that the character work was good in here, and quite honestly, with my mood this week, with having really bad brain fog at the beginning and it just like slowly tapering off throughout the week to the point now where like I'm almost at like 100%. I'd say I'm around 90% with some like spots of tiredness throughout the day, and also the fact that I was coming into this book straight off the back of The Hating Game, which I think at this point is my favorite book of the year so far, and also has put me into a little bit of a book hangover. I don't think it really mattered what I was going to be reading following that book, and I'm actually glad it was something like this that I'm not overly interested in, because even though it kind of put me in a little bit of a slump because I wasn't overly compelled to continue, just with me not having the best focus this week and also not really wanting to, it's not that I didn't want to read, it's just that I was struggling to be interested in something that wasn't The Hating Game essentially. So I'm glad that I read something that wasn't going to be my new favorite, because I think that my enjoyment would have been severely impacted if I'd picked up something like, I don't know, the next Miss Bond book, and I would have had more negative feelings towards it because I was just in a little bit of a funk, if that makes sense. There are quite a few content warnings throughout here, and I do of course think it's important to give content warnings. However, I don't usually give them for mysteries or thrillers, just because with the nature of the books, the reveals and the plot twists do sometimes tend to rest on the triggers. But this is a very popular book, so I imagine if you wanted to look up and be sure what exactly was in here, you'd be able to find a comprehensive list. But I will say that the majority of them center on abuse and different types of abuse. The way that this book was constructed was a little bit different than I thought it was going to be, because I thought we were going to have a midway point where we hit the trivia night and then the rest of the book would like follow on after the trivia night, but essentially we're just building up to this trivia night to see what actually happened and what went down. Throughout this book, you know, as I said from the beginning, that someone is dead, but you don't know who it is, so that is kind of like the main point that you're building up to, like where somebody died and how did it happen, who was responsible, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know, I just feel like I expect so much from mysteries and thrillers. Like if I'm going into a book where the main point of it is that I'm going to have something revealed to me that I've been unclear about throughout the entirety of the book, then I want it to be good. And in terms of that, I did feel like it was a little bit weak, but this is not supposed to be like the biggest, baddest, darkest thriller, because it's not even a thriller that exists. And it was an enjoyable read as I read it. I'm glad that I've read this because I do want to watch the show, especially because I was looking at the cast and I found out that Zoe Kravitz is in it, who I adore, and also Adam Scott, who I don't love, but I've been watching Parks and Rec recently, so there's a little bit of appeal there, I guess. And of course I love Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, so I'm glad that I read this because now I will watch the show. And I don't always have to read the book to watch the show, especially if it's not something that I'm overly interested, like I'm gonna watch at some point. Is it One of Us Is Lying? But I have no interest in reading that book, so I'll just go ahead and watch the show. But sometimes it puts me off and I'll keep putting off watching a show if I know that I have a vague interest in the book. So I'm glad that this is done. We'll be unhauling it, and this got me my conduit for the Magical Readathon, which was the dagger, and the prompt for that was to read a standalone. So I didn't know what I wanted to move on to next. So I'm doing the Unhaul Project, and for the like skill that I want to pursue for Magical Readathon, the prompt is to read a sci-fi, because the area of mind walking that I want to specialize in is traveling through the multiverse. But I don't have a whole ton of sci-fi on my Unhaul cart. I don't have a whole ton of sci-fi in general. Like I have a decent amount, but a lot of it is stuff that I'm really excited to read, so not a lot of it is on the cart. And the book that I had selected, which I think I'm gonna go with, I'm not overly feeling right now, and it is, I think it's just about 400 pages, 420. So considering we only have the weekend, it's not a particularly short one. But I don't have any plans this weekend because Curtis is testing negative now, but he's in the stage that I was on like maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, where he's not feeling 100%. So even though now that I'm feeling better, I just want to go out and do stuff, he is not in the same kind of mindset as me yet. So it's just gonna be a weekend at home, probably gonna do some cleaning, just because with me being ill last weekend I didn't really do anything. And yeah, what else is there to do really apart from read? I've been so bored, and it is like the after effects of COVID that have been contributing to it, but I just want to go outside and do something fun. But anyway, I haven't told you what the book is, which is I Hope You Get This Message by Farinaz Rishi. This one is an Illumicrate book. It was the second book in an Illumicrate book a long time ago. It doesn't say what month it was, but I haven't had Illumicrate for at least like 8 months, so it's definitely before that. But this one is a contemporary with a sci-fi twist, where humans have discovered that there is aliens out there, and the aliens have said that they are going to hit the kill switch on humanity in a certain amount of time. And it is about 3 teenagers who come together during this time, very similar to the synopsis of We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach, which is a book that I've previously DNF'd. The focus of this is going to be YA contemporary, which is why I don't know if I'm going to vibe with it, but I want to at least give it a go and get it off my cart, because as well as just me wanting to clear through stuff, my best friend Ryan has wanted this book from me since I got it, and I told him he could have it when I read it, so I should probably get on with the actual reading of this. Burn my cookies. They're all lumpy. I don't know.
Pretty blue jeans and me, running through evergreen, running through evergreen.
I have been doing some reading, not a whole ton. I've made a lot of progress in this, but I think it is just because it's mainly like heavily contemporary focused, so it's not taking a whole lot of effort on my part to actually get through it. But I'm 270 pages into I Hope You Get This Message, and like it's alright. It does have more sci-fi than I kind of assumed that it would, but it still definitely leans on the contemporary side. But we're following these 3 teenagers called Kate, Adeem and Jessie. One of them lives in Roswell, like the UFO site Roswell, which I thought was interesting because I haven't seen the Roswell TV show, which is how I know of Roswell, but I know of it obviously. So in this book there is another planet and Earth is kind of like a project for the aliens that live on this planet, and they're trying to decide whether Earth has outlived its usefulness or whether humans specifically have outlived their usefulness, and if they decide that they have, then they're going to kill all of humanity. So NASA actually picked up this message from space and decoded it and told the world that they only have 7 days until these aliens possibly decide that humanity isn't worth the effort anymore and decide to hit the kill switch. So we're following 3 teenagers. One of them lives in Roswell and he's not doing too well. He has like eviction notices on his property, he lives there with his mother, and he's decided to try and make some money and profit off people kind of losing their minds over this. The girl Kate has a mother with schizophrenia who's not doing very well, and her mother tells her to go and look for her father, who she's never met. And then Adeem is looking for his sister, who left home a few years ago and never said goodbye, but as the world is ending he would like to see his sister kind of like find out why she left. So the paths of these 3 teenagers do converge at some point. They are spread across the US. I'm not sure where Adeem is from, I can't remember, but Jesse, as I said, lives in Roswell and Kate is from San Francisco, and they're all pursuing these individual goals. And something that I am enjoying about this actually is that it's more apocalyptic than I expected it to be. I guess I maybe didn't get far enough into We All Looked Up where people actually started to take this seriously, but in this one where everyone has 1 week left to live, I'm enjoying seeing the response of people to knowing that they're going to die in a week, which is what I wanted from We All Looked Up. That being said, it is mainly contemporary focused. It's the kind of stuff that I would have enjoyed a lot more like 4 or 5 years ago, but now I don't really care too much. I'm super ambivalent about it. It's just like a nice easy read, you know. I don't think it's bad, I just think that it's so far outside my realm of interest at this point in my life that I couldn't really care less. So I'm gonna finish it. I was gonna DNF, but like, I don't know, it's hard to explain how I'm feeling because I could just say I don't want to read this book, I don't want to read any book, and you guys are probably gonna say, well, if you're not enjoying it then just DNF, and that is kind of a valid point, you know. Normally, especially when doing the Unhaul Project, I would DNF, but because I've been in such a funk with the brain fog and the little bit of a reading slump, I actually enjoy the act of reading. So sometimes I like to just read for the sake of reading, and as I mentioned, I think it was the previous clip, that if I was reading something I was probably going to enjoy, this mood would impact how I felt about the book. Whereas if I read something like this, it's not really going to impact me too much because I already am just like only vaguely interested in it. So yeah, I'm gonna carry on, I'm gonna finish it, but it's like literally don't really have a thought or care about it all that much. Good morning. I did it last night in bed. I finished up I Hope You Get This Message by Farah Rishi. I didn't love it. I don't even know if there's anything necessarily wrong with this. It 100% just isn't the thing that I read anymore, and I do think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. How old am I? 28, so maybe like 4 or 5 years ago was when this was like the peak thing that I was reading. But that being said, up until the last like 2 years, I want to say, I have dabbled in contemporary, like YA contemporary occasionally, but this is just not really my thing anymore. With the type of book that this is, I think if you're a fan of Adam Silvera's contemporary, like We Both Die at the End, then this might be something that you enjoy. Something that I definitely didn't like about this, outside of it being a genre that I don't typically enjoy anymore, is that I didn't like the end. And because of the nature of this book, I don't want to say what it was about the end that I didn't like, but it definitely fell into something that I commonly don't like about books, specifically the ending of books. So that really didn't do it for me. But I will say that I enjoyed the alien presence in here. It's very minimal because the focus of this book is still very much contemporary, but there is like a little bit of mixed media in this book, which I didn't really know going into it. But we have like people's messages to their loved ones after they've found out that the world is going to be ending. We also have a transcript of the aliens responsible for deciding what happens to Earth, like their deliberations and their thought process as they're trying to decide whether to hit the kill switch on humanity or not. Overall, it might have been okay, just very much not my thing. I have given it 2 stars. I've yet to decide whether I'm actually going to put that rating on Goodreads, like with The Shadowed Sun by N.K. Jemisin, which I read not long ago for a book club and didn't enjoy. I would have DNF'd this book early on if I was in the headspace to read anything else, but because of just how I've generally been feeling over the last week, there was really no point me picking up a book that I thought I was going to enjoy, because my concentration just has not been there. I haven't really been able to focus. My brain was getting tired quite easily. I will say that this morning I woke up for the first time since I had COVID and felt good. Like, I don't feel sluggish, I don't feel stiff, like I feel normal today. So I feel like I'm ready to dive back into reading properly. I mean, we'll see over the course of the day whether my focus and concentration wins at any point, but I am feeling much better today than I have at any other point since I was ill. Being somebody who really likes routine and also reads all the time, like I always have a book on the go. I need something to read just because the act of reading is so comforting to me and such a part of my normal everyday life that I have to be reading. So it's good that I was reading something like this as opposed to something that was like a little bit more dense, like adult epic fantasy or something that I was actually trying to enjoy but my brain wasn't cooperating with me. But it is a book that I would have DNF'd if it wasn't for the mood that I was in this week. So I don't know if I'm going to put my rating on Goodreads because it seems a little bit unfair, but I don't really think there was much wrong with this book. I just didn't like it. But yeah, it got 2 stars. I didn't enjoy it very much, and I will definitely be unhauling this and Big Little Lies because while I enjoyed that one a little bit more, it's a mystery and I have no need to reread that in the future. There are a couple of content warnings in here, including homophobia, self-harm, and also Islamophobia, but it is, like I said, very much a book that deals with contemporary issues, so do be wary of that if you're interested in picking this one up. But that concludes both the Mini Magical Readathon and also this round of the Unhaul Project. I did not read as much this week as I planned on doing. I didn't do as well as I intended, but life and my brain pretty much just got in the way a little bit. But I did manage to get my conduit and the skill that I was going for the Magical Readathon, and I successfully read and will be unhauling 2 books. So that brings us to the end of this week's vlog. Next week I'm going to be doing part 2 of the dragon vlog that I did earlier this month. So if you're interested in seeing me read the final book in the Rainwild Chronicles, the second book in Chorus of Dragons, and the sequel to Rage of Fire by Evan Winter, then please do stay tuned. But aside from that, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog if you've made it this far. If you have, don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.